Imagine a world without banks, without online transfers, without digital wallets or credit cards. A world where every trade, every deal, and every journey across oceans depended on the shine of a single coin. In the medieval world, money wasn't just a tool. It was trust, power, and survival. A coin wasn't just something you spent, it told others who you were, where you came from, and how powerful your empire was. But among all those glittering coins, from the deserts of Arabia to the ports of Venice, from the markets of China to the castles of Europe, one question still echoes through history: which was the strongest currency in the medieval world? Let's go back in time, over 1,000 years ago, to an age where kingdoms rose and fell on the strength of their money. Because back then, a strong currency didn't just mean wealth. It meant dominance, it meant respect, and it meant trust that reached far beyond borders. When the Western Roman Empire fell, Europe was thrown into chaos. The economy collapsed, trade routes disappeared, and the idea of a stable currency nearly vanished. But in the East, one empire refused to crumble: the Byzantine Empire. Out of the ashes of Rome, the Byzantines preserved one of the most remarkable coins in history, the Byzantine Solidus, also known later as the Byzant. The Solidus wasn't just a coin. It was a promise. Made from nearly pure gold, about 4.5 grams in weight, it was introduced by Emperor Constantine the Great in the early 4th century. What made it legendary was its consistency. For over 7 centuries, the Solidus barely changed in weight or purity. In a world filled with political chaos and constant wars, that consistency was priceless. Merchants trusted it, rulers respected it, and traders from as far away as India and Africa recognized its gleam. You could walk into a market in Cairo, Constantinople, or Venice and use the same coin, and people would accept it without hesitation. That's how powerful the Solidus was. It became the gold standard before the term even existed. Its value was so reliable that even after the Byzantine Empire began to fade, other kingdoms kept using the Solidus as a reference point for trade and currency valuation. It was literally the coin of the world. But the story of money is the story of evolution. And as centuries passed, new powers began to rise and new coins began to challenge the throne. Fast forward to the late 13th century. The world was opening up again. Trade routes stretched across Europe and Asia, connecting east and west, and in the middle of this booming network stood one glittering city, Venice. Venice was unlike any other city. Built on water, ruled by merchants, and powered by trade, it was the bridge between Europe and the East. Ships from every corner of the world docked at its ports carrying silk, spices, and silver. And in 1284, Venice minted a coin that would change history: the Venetian ducat. The ducat was a masterpiece. It weighed about 3.5 grams and was made of almost pure gold. But what truly gave it power wasn't just the gold. It was the trust behind it. The Venetians were known for their honesty in trade, their disciplined record-keeping, and their stable government. Their coin wasn't backed by gold mines or conquests. It was backed by the reputation of Venice itself. The ducat became the currency of choice for merchants all across Europe and the Middle East. It was used in trade from London to Cairo, from Constantinople to Delhi. Even rival empires accepted it because they knew a ducat was a ducat. No tricks, no fraud, no sudden devaluation. In fact, the ducat became so successful that other powerful states tried to imitate it. Florence created the florin, modeled almost exactly on the ducat's purity and design. The Hungarian kingdom, the Ottoman Empire, and even some Indian sultanates accepted ducats as an international standard. You could say the Venetian ducat was the medieval version of the US dollar. Universal, respected, and trusted. But while Europe was basking in gold, another part of the world had already mastered the art of powerful currency: the Islamic world. When the Prophet Muhammad united the Arabian Peninsula, he laid the foundations for a vast civilization that stretched across 3 continents. And at the heart of this new world was a gold coin that would soon dominate global trade: the Islamic dinar. The dinar was first introduced in the late 7th century under the Umayyad Caliphate. Like the Byzantine Solidus, it was made of pure gold and carefully standardized. But what made it unique was its design. Instead of the image of a ruler, it carried inscriptions from the Quran, emphasizing faith, morality, and honesty in trade. In an age where religion shaped every aspect of life, that inscription gave the dinar immense moral power. It wasn't just a coin, it represented divine trust, as the Islamic caliphates expanded, through the Abbasids, Fatimids, and eventually the Ottomans. The dinar traveled everywhere. From the markets of Sika Radoba in Spain to the palaces of Baghdad, from the deserts of North Africa to the bustling ports of India, the dinar was accepted as true, reliable money. Even non-Muslim traders preferred it, because they knew it was always pure and honest. It's said that if you carried a gold dinar in your pocket, you could travel across half the known world without worrying about conversion or fraud. In many ways, the dinar and the Byzantine Solidus were like two shining suns, one in the Christian world and one in the Islamic world, illuminating the path of medieval trade. But to find the next chapter in this story, we must look even farther east, to a civilization that wasn't just using gold or silver, but was inventing something entirely new. In ancient China, during the Tang and Song dynasties, money reached a new form: paper. That's right, centuries before Europe would even dream of paper currency, the Chinese were already printing it. It began with merchants in Sichuan during the 10th century. Carrying heavy metal coins was inconvenient for long-distance trade, so they started using promissory notes called GOZ. The government soon realized how efficient this system was and began printing official paper money. By the 11th century, China had the world's first national currency system based on paper. Imagine that, while Europe was still using gold and silver coins, China was already using what we today would call banknotes. This innovation transformed trade across Asia. It allowed the Chinese Empire to move wealth faster, conduct larger-scale projects, and connect distant regions. But there was a risk: paper money was only valuable as long as people trusted the government not to print too much. And that's where it sometimes failed. When the state lost control and printed excessive notes, inflation followed, and people returned to using silver or gold. Still, this Chinese experiment changed history. It showed that money doesn't need to be metal. It just needs to carry belief. So now we have four powerful contenders: the Byzantine Solidus, the Islamic dinar, the Chinese yuanbao and paper notes, and the Venetian ducat. Each ruled its own world. Each shaped history in its own way. But which one was the strongest? Let's think about what strength means when it comes to currency. It's not just how much gold it has. It's how far it traveled, how trusted it was, and how long it survived. The Solidus lasted for over 700 years without major changes. That's an incredible record for any currency. The dinar spread farther than almost any other coin, connecting civilizations from Spain to India. The Chinese paper money changed the entire idea of what money could be. But the Venetian ducat, that was the one coin that combined all these strengths. It was pure like the Solidus, global like the dinar, and stable like no other European currency of its time. It stayed in circulation for over 500 years and kept its value almost unchanged. Even after Venice's political power declined, the ducat remained strong, used in trade, trusted by bankers, and respected by empires.